Welcome back. We're continuing our debate on Iraq with two U.S. veterans. Joining me here in Denver is Vets for Freedom Chairman David Bellavia and Frank Bessinger of Vets for Peace. Now, we were talking about various scenarios in Iraq just before the break. I want to bring in a caller from Nigeria now. Ijama, you have a question for us, please. Oh, I think we've lost Ijama in Nigeria. Okay, not to worry. We'll see if we can get back to him. But what I do want to do is bring up a soundbite that we had. We bumped into the daughter of the former Democratic presidential candidate, Mike Gravel, and this is what she had to say. Listen to this, and I'll put it to you afterwards.
The Iraq War is an illegal action, and my father, Mike Gravel, spoke out in 2002 that this would be our next Vietnam, and that is exactly what it's turned out to be. It's an unlawful war, and it's taking the money and the lives, more importantly the lives and our credibility, out of the United States. And it's not creating peace, it's not creating safety, it's doing the opposite of that.
Now there, David, if I can put to you, she's saying it's not creating peace, it's actually doing the opposite. And there are a lot of people who feel that the war on terror, the approach that America has taken and its continued presence in Iraq has actually decreased America's security, that things are much worse because of the way America's handled this issue.
I fundamentally disagree with that. I believe that we could debate all the talking points of 2002 and 2003. As we face the situation now in Iraq, we're seeing the violence is down, and we're seeing Al-Qaeda really has nowhere to go. 2005 in Afghanistan, we thought Al-Qaeda was decimated. We thought the Taliban was gone. When I talked to Iraqi commanders on the ground less than 2 weeks ago, they told me that unmolested, this enemy could take 90 days to reemerge. We have got to fight a new strategy. And the counterinsurgency strategy has protected the Iraqi population and separated the enemy from the population. And that's why the Iraqi people are on our side for the first time in 4 years.
But there is a broader issue that even beyond Iraq, what's happening in other parts of the world, people are taking issue with America's presence in Iraq and the way it's handled. And there's a sense that the whole Al-Qaeda principle is more an ideology now than a visible force that can be handled with conventional military force. So surely the use of conventional military force here has to be reassessed.
Well, I think it has been reassessed, and that's essentially what the doctrine of the surge is. In the old days, I would go down a street with a Bradley fighting vehicle, and I would rip up streets, I would knock down doors with my foot, and point a rifle in someone's face. And today, it's about reaching out to the people, it's about showing them respect, and it's about understanding that if we can't protect the population, there's nothing we can do in Iraq.
Let's get a caller on the line. We've got Solomon on the line from Liverpool in the UK, sorry. Solomon, what would you like to ask?
Hello. I wish to ask these Americans in studio some question regarding the war in Iraq. The Iraqis don't deserve the American goods. And you went to Iraq to bring down Saddam Hussein, and Saddam Hussein is down. The Iraqi don't need you in the country. What can they pull off of Iraq?
Okay. David, actually, this is one for you, I guess. They're just saying, why can't the U.S. pull out of Iraq? They don't need it now that Saddam Hussein is gone.
Well, we've done an excellent job in training the Iraqi army, to fight this, they're now literally the tip of the spear. I think that the Iraqi army and the Maliki government is ready for us to leave. But what does this show? This shows signs of progress that we didn't have 4 years ago. And if the Iraqi army and the government is ready to move on, that means the surge was successful, and we can leave with the dignity in which we were sent there to in the first place.
Frank Bessinger, the cost is put at around $12 billion a month now. There are projections that the whole war could cost $3 trillion in total. Why isn't the American public up in arms about this kind of spending?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't understand why people aren't out in the streets or in their congressmen's offices demanding that this money go to some productive use here in this country. We're starting to suffer economically here, and certainly that money could be used to more beneficial purposes.
But there are those who feel that America's public is not really being told the full story, that the White House has largely kept the information away because possibly there would be a reaction. Do you feel there's a concerted effort not to let the people know what's going on?
Oh, sure. Everything that this administration has done has been a matter of sleight of hand, trying to distract Americans' attention from the real issues. All we need to do is think back to the weapons of mass destruction rationale for going into Iraq. They knew that wasn't true. they wanted to invade Iraq for whatever reasons. I don't know if we want to go into that now, but you know, to go back to Ms. Gravel's perspective, we have to remember in before the invasion, the Iraqi people were living basically in peace, true, under a dictator, but you know, they had lives, they had normal lives.
Let's get a call in from Morocco, and Mehdi's on the line from Morocco. Go ahead, Mehdi.
Good afternoon. I have a question about the war on terror, and my question basically is don't you think America, it created an Al-Qaeda in Iraq as it never existed under Saddam Hussein, as his ideology opposed extremist Muslims? Don't you think it was America who created the Al-Qaeda that is currently residing and fighting the U.S. troops in Iraq?
Thank you. Thanks, Mehdi. Let me find out, perhaps David, get a perspective, because this goes back to what we were talking about, that perhaps the situation's worse because of what America has done.
Well, see, the reason why the Americans aren't up in arms is because the American population is seeing what is actually happening on the ground. We're not finding 1,600 headless torsos anymore. We can debate why we went to Iraq all day, but in the real world that we live in, Al-Qaeda is on the run. We're winning this war. And once we refocus and look at Africa and look at all the other places that Al-Qaeda is able to influence, we can see that moderate Islam is on our side. All right, this is not a war against Islam. Rather, we are going to embrace Islam and embrace them as allies to defeat extremists.
Now, I know as a soldier you do your duty, and
yes,
it's not questioned, but as an American citizen, as a taxpayer, do you have issues with the cost? We were discussing a little earlier the incredible cost this war has taken, been on the American public.
You know, the cost of 9/11 was monumental. We almost lost our entire economy. The airline industry has yet to recover from what happened on 9/11. The cost of what it would take to recover from another catastrophic terrorist attack will far outweigh the real cost here is the human cost. And that is something that is, you know, that literally breaks my heart. I lost 37 brothers from my unit in this fight. But you know what? They didn't die in vain. And we're out there fighting an enemy that's worthy of their own destruction. These are evil people that want to terrorize the people of Iraq. And we have to understand that we have allied ourselves with the Iraqi people, and we've made a promise to deliver them from the terrorists now in the country.
Let's get a call on the line from Italy. We have Ademi on the line, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'd like to ask is, I just wanted to know why the Americans attacked Iraq, because they said they attacked Iraq on the fact that they had weapons of mass destruction. But then they never attacked North Korea, which had, which they knew had weapons of mass destruction.
Right. Okay, that's an interesting point, Frank. And there are those who, and I'm wondering if you agree, but there are those who feel that there's perhaps a disconnect between some of the ways America's handling some countries, such as North Korea in this case, and Iraq.
There certainly is, and obviously this administration has shown very little interest in diplomacy, in using diplomatic means to achieve their ends. And I think we can see that it can be much more effective and certainly more economical in terms of both money and in human life.
David, how do you regard the GI Bill? You know, where there's a push for getting college funding for military personnel. Senator Obama saying, you know, he's behind the idea. Senator McCain's largely against it, and he's in with the Bush administration on this one. As someone who has served, how do you feel about the positions these two have taken?
Well, you know, actually, the bill that was actually passed, the Senator Webb bill, actually has an amendment to it that is Senator McCain and Senator Graham's amendment, which basically said that you could take the GI Bill and you could give it to your family members, which I think is a huge incentive. But the problem with the original GI Bill was that it wasn't really giving any incentive for military members to stay in the military. Right. And what we wanted to do was basically say, if you did 20 years in the Army, you should actually have more of a benefit than a guy who does 2 years and gets out. And that's what was the major tie-up with the GI Bill.
Well, gentlemen, I'm unfortunately, we've run out of time here, but David Bellavia and Frank Bessinger, thank you both for taking this debate and discussing it with us today.
Thank you, Riz.
Pleasure to have you both with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. Be sure to tune in on Thursday at 00 hours GMT for Al Jazeera's in-depth coverage of the final night of the 2008 Democratic National Convention. And next week, our team heads to the Republican Convention in St. Paul, Minnesota, for more of our expanded look at the issues in the upcoming U.S. elections and how they will impact the rest of the world. Don't forget, you can take part. Join us live with your phone calls. And, of course, we'll keep you updated on the topics we'll be covering, so you can send us emails in advance. Look forward to hearing from you. That's all from me and the team here in Denver. We'll see you next time.
Still on the loose. And he understands that we've got a job to finish there. Republicans and Democrats and independents know.